Happy Sunday, January 5th, which means it's congestion pricing day, the day that New York City, New York State put in place the first in the nation congestion pricing policy. And so let's talk a little bit about it. So congestion pricing is a policy of a tolling policy in high traffic areas. There's been some success in Europe with the aim of putting a price on car traffic. In order to reduce congestion, improve air quality, and fund public services. So in New York City, it's going to be $9 per vehicle for entering the zone, and the zone is from the bottom tip of Manhattan to 60th Street. So it's a dynamic pricing situation where there's peak hours and off-peak hours, but the peak hours are pretty much the whole day. And there's some exemptions for special vehicles and emergency vehicles, but the vast majority of cars are affected by it. Let's talk history. So New York City congestion pricing plan started in the 1970s, but it didn't really take off until the 2000s. In 2008, Mayor Michael Bloomberg proposed a congestion pricing policy, but it was blocked by the state Senate. Then in 2019, it was in what was deemed the summer of hell. Governor Andrew Cuomo suggested that we propose this policy, and it passed as part of his budget. The summer of hell was a summer where there was nonstop MTA challenges on the New York City subway system, and so they passed it in order to fund the MTA. So the funds from the toll, the tax essentially on these cars, is going to help fund the MTA, which New York State says is constantly underfunded. Governor Hochul, when she took over for Governor Cuomo when he resigned in disgrace, initially endorsed it. From 2019 to 2024, it was an implementation period where they were going to set up the cameras and set up the infrastructure behind it. Then in June 2024, in what I think is a brazen act of politics right before the 2024 elections, in June, Governor Hochul pauses the plan. She thought that it would negatively impact Democrats in swing districts in New Jersey and Long Island and Westchester, and had pressure from DC Democrats to postpone the implementation. So in a brazen act, she says that we're going to indefinitely pause what was then a $15 toll. And then right after the election in November, this past November, she says it's back on at $9 per toll. For the most part, New Yorkers are opposing it. So if right now I'm polling about 51% oppose it, while only 29% approve of the policy. Those numbers break down based on income for sure. So lower income folks tend to be against it because the $9 hurts low income folks more than affluent folks, and also on geography. So folks who live in the suburbs of Long Island, New Jersey, Westchester, Connecticut certainly are more likely to oppose this policy than the people who live in Manhattan. And certainly timing is just not on Hochul's side. So had the pandemic not happened and real estate prices and office real estate and really the struggles that New York City is currently facing with depopulation and employers having trouble getting employees coming back to the office, it might have a different effect. This feels like for a lot of people yet another reason not to return to the office. Let's talk pros and cons. So pros. This puts a specific price, $9, on car congestion. So it's going to disincentivize car traffic in the zone, which is most of Manhattan. It will reduce the number of cars, and it will allow for traffic flows to go smoother in the zone. It will also, because there will be fewer cars, it will improve air quality in Manhattan. And the whole reason behind it is that there's going to be a increase in public funding towards the public transit system that New York State. New York State runs the MTA, which includes New York City public transportation, and the state always says that it is underfunded and they need more funding. They think that the increase in traffic flows will increase economic productivity. People won't be sitting waiting for in traffic, and there will also be behavior shifts. People who were previously taking cars will instead walk or bike or carpool, and there will be a disincentive of each person taking a different car. The folks who benefit are Manhattanites, people who are frequently traveling within Manhattan, and the MTA. The cons: it is yet another tax or toll on drivers entering Manhattan. There are already tolls at each of the entrances to Manhattan. This is an increased toll. For people who are commuters or low-wage workers, it is yet one more thing that where the government is taxing us to go into the city. There might be traffic diversions to out on 61st Street and above, and there might be other traffic congestion outside. So, for example, the FDR Drive is not included in the toll, and so that will, I believe, that will face increased traffic congestion as opposed to people entering the zone. Implementation challenges, though those have been, for the most part, worked out over the last few years, but it's something to be keeping an eye on. And business impact. A lot of small businesses rely on getting goods into the city, and a lot of larger companies are trying their best to get workers to come back to the city. And the local economy around each large office building depends on the office workers coming in. So you could see commuters who say this is the last straw and don't end up driving into the city. It most hurts commuters. It most hurts common people for whom $9 hurts, $9 a day if you're a commuter, and industrial companies who are getting products into Manhattan. Just figured I'd just bring it up. As a Long Islander and as a construction company owner, I am one of the big losers of this policy. I have trucks delivering products to construction crews throughout every day, and so for every truck I'm getting on top of the tolls that we already pay via Easy Pass, it's yet one more toll that we have to pay. So each truck's going to be an additional $9 a day. Theoretically, that means that we'll be passing the cost on to the end user, and so the cost of building will be higher. But maybe it counteracts the productivity loss that we get by sitting in traffic because we can't get trucks to go through the city. I doubt that it's going to offset that, but we will see. As a Long Islander, I don't commute to the city, but obviously a lot of friends and family do, and they'll have to either take public transit, which is the goal of the policy, or they'll choose to not go into the city. And for that will hurt. It'll hurt the New York City economy that is struggling in the post-pandemic years to encourage workers to come back to the city. So this might be one more thing that prevents New York City's full recovery, and that could be huge. So we will see. I don't want to overstate the importance of a $9 a day toll for each commuter. I think we're going to have to see. We will see if the cost and the improvements to the MTA truly do outweigh. The benefits of that outweigh the cost that individual people are saying that they will feel. So right now, the majority of New Yorkers are against it. In a year, it might just be the average thing that we're used to, and behavior shifts have already taken place. So we're going to see, and it's definitely. But today's the day, first day of congestion pricing, and so something to keep an eye on.